Welcome to Alien Shadow. If you love epic sci-fi stories where humanity shines, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for thrilling HFY adventures. Join us and be part of the journey. Asterisk, the birth they tried. To hide Asterisk, the stars were quiet that night above the moon of Requerus. A cold and forgotten place watched only by a few old machines and a bored alien crew. Nothing had happened there in years. Number signals, no visitors, just silence and frost. Then the alarm screamed through the station like a dying beast. Red lights flashed, and Commander Jorak almost dropped his drink. His 6 yellow eyes scanned the screen, and there it was, ship, falling from the sky. No ID, no call for help. Just falling. Crash coordinates locked, the machine said calmly. Impact in 90 seconds. Jorak cursed and barked orders. Fighters scrambled, medics rushed, and a dropship launched toward the crash site through the icy wind. When they reached the wreck, the ship was still burning, twisted metal half buried in the snow. There were no signs of battle, no weapons, no crew. Just one sealed chamber in the center of the broken hull. Inside, they found a baby, a human baby. It was alive, warm, and completely untouched by the fire. The heat sensors showed no burn marks. No trauma, not even a scratch, but its eyes were open and glowing bright blue. So bright, it hurt to look. The medic dropped the scanner and stepped back. "Sir," she said with a trembling voice, "I think the child is dangerous." Jorak stared, unsure what he felt. Fear, curiosity, confusion, all at once. "Contain it," he said. "Now." The baby was taken into custody under heavy guard, wrapped in a containment field used only for unstable plasma weapons. Even then, the guards refused to meet its eyes. The baby never cried. It only watched. Word spread fast through the higher ranks. The Galactic Council was informed within the hour, and a secret emergency session was called. No records, no names. Only shadows, speaking in coded language. One elder said, "This child is not normal." Another whispered, "Its eyes can bend light, shatter metal, and silence thought." An old scientist warned, "We don't know what triggers it, but we know what it did to that ship." Some demanded its destruction immediately. Others spoke of control, weaponization, study. But one voice, low and calm, said, "We cover this up, hide it, lose it." And so the order was given. Destroy all records of the crash. Kill the cameras, erase the logs. Tell no one, not even the military. The baby was placed in a deep lab below Council Tower on the hidden moon of Veltries 4. The place was cold and silent, perfect for secrets. Their scientists began to test the child. They shined lights into its eyes. The machines burned. They tried to take blood. The needle turned to ash. They whispered words of fear in another room. The walls cracked from unseen force. After 2 weeks, one of the lead researchers, a tall alien named Saren Va, made a report that shook the hidden council. The child's gaze responds to emotion, he said, not its own but ours. It senses fear, it multiplies it, it reflects it, and then it turns it into something real, a weapon, a mirror, a nightmare. One day, a security officer stepped too close without protection. He stared into the baby's glowing eyes for 3 seconds. 3 seconds later, he collapsed, shaking. His last words were, "I saw my world burning." The council began to panic behind closed doors. Some shouted for execution, some begged for deeper lockdown. But no one had the courage to face the baby again, except for one, Saren Va, the scientist. Returned to the chamber alone. He looked at the baby with calm thoughts. No fear, only wonder. And the child blinked, then smiled. That night, Saren stole the child. He bypassed the alarms, neutralized the guards with sleep mist, and took the baby onto a stolen scout ship. His message to the council was short and final. You feared the baby's power. I fear your lies more. Goodbye. The scout ship vanished into the stars. The council erased the entire incident from every record. Anyone who spoke of it disappeared. The station logs were wiped, the crash site glassed over, and the scientist was marked as a traitor. As far as the galaxy knew, nothing had ever happened. On Requeris, but far away, in a quiet village on a forgotten part of Earth, a strange couple was found with a new baby. No one knew where he came from. No one asked. They named him Kale. He never cried, and at night, behind his soft black lenses, his eyes still glowed. Softly, watching, waiting, raised in shadow, the village was small and far from anything important. No starports, no cameras, no visitors, just forests, dirt roads, and quiet people. That's why Sarenva chose it. That's why he raised the child there. Kale was not like other children. He smiled less, laughed softly, and never got hurt. Not once. Not a scratch, not a fever, not even when he fell from the tall tree behind the house. He always wore dark glasses, thick ones that blocked his eyes completely. Saren told him they were for protection. Not just for Kale, but for everyone else too. Kale believed him when Kale was 5. A hunter came to the village asking questions. He said he was looking for a thief. But his scanner kept beeping when it got near the house. That night, Kale had a nightmare. The hunter's ship exploded before sunrise. No one could explain what happened, but the villagers stopped asking questions after that. Saren grew older. His steps slower, his voice softer. He warned Kale to keep his emotions in check. Never cry too hard, never get too angry. And never take off the glasses, not even for a second. Kale listened. He didn't want to hurt anyone. But inside, questions burned brighter than his eyes. Why am I so different? He asked one night. You're human, Saren said. Then, why do I feel like I'm not? Kale whispered. Saren didn't answer. He just held Kale's hand until they both fell asleep. At age 12, Kale began seeing things others couldn't. A glowing trail on the ground where someone had walked. A flicker of pain on someone's face before they even spoke. He saw fear hiding behind smiles and shadows crawling behind quiet thoughts. He asked Saren what it meant. Saren looked at him with tired eyes and said, It means you're waking. Up then came the day everything changed. Saren was out gathering supplies when a new ship landed in the woods. It was small, black, and silent. Not a trader, not a visitor. This one had come for one reason. Kale watched from the window as 3 tall figures stepped out. They wore black armor, faces hidden, eyes glowing red behind helmets. They moved like hunters, but smelled like fear. Kale stepped back from the window and felt something strange, something rising inside him like boiling light. He grabbed his backpack, some food, and left the house through the back door. He didn't run. He walked through the trees calmly, like someone who already knew the path. His feet moved on their own, as if guided by something deep in his bones. That night, the house exploded. The whole village shook. Trees caught fire. The strangers were never seen again. Saren came back to ruins. He searched for Kale for days, but found nothing. He sat near the river and cried. The first time in many years. A message was left behind on the wall, burned into the stone by unseen. Energy. I'm sorry, it said. I don't want to hurt anyone. Kale kept walking through forests, across empty roads, and into cities where no one knew him. He changed names, changed clothes, but never removed the glasses. He lived in shadows, helping quietly. A girl sick in the alley was healed overnight. A thief who attacked him froze mid-strike. Eyes filled with terror, then ran away screaming. Rumors began to spread of a strange boy who didn't speak much, who never blinked. and who made machines short-circuit when angry. In the sky above, the Galactic Council watched silently, they thought. The boy had died, but now their sensors picked up strange energy patterns again, small at first, but growing. A pattern that matched the same impossible readings from 12 years ago. The Council sent spies, bounty hunters, machines. None of them returned. Cale didn't know he was being hunted again. He only knew that his dreams were changing. Dark skies, burning cities, flashes of war, faces that looked like his butt were not. One night, Cale stood on a rooftop. Looking at the stars, "Who am I?" he whispered into the cold wind. The stars did not answer. But deep within the galaxy, an old rebel ship caught a signal they had long searched for. One word, hidden in static, pulsing with energy, only one being could create. Cale. They set course at once. The prophecy had begun to unfold. The star-eyed child had awakened. The eyes that remember fire. The rebel ship hovered above the ruins of a forgotten mining colony on the edge of Sector Grey 9. It had no name, no flag, and no official crew. Only those who believed in things the galaxy had buried long ago. Inside that ship, a tall woman with silver skin stared at a monitor that pulsed with one name, Cale. She was called Rayla, and she was the last of the Seers. A dying alien race that once guarded knowledge too dangerous to speak. She touched the screen and whispered, "The child lives." Her crew prepared for descent. Meanwhile, Cale sat alone in an old metro tunnel, deep beneath a ruined city. He hadn't slept for 2 days. Every time he closed his eyes, the visions returned, not dreams, but something older, something louder. He saw stars, bleeding fire. He saw people running, screaming, hiding in glass cities that shattered under invisible waves. He saw the Council's golden towers falling like dominoes, and always, in every vision, he saw himself, floating, glowing, with eyes like suns. Cale didn't understand why he remembered things he had never lived. He pressed his palms against his temples and tried to breathe. But the images kept coming faster. Then the air changed. He wasn't alone anymore. Rayla stepped into the tunnel. Slowly, hands raised, voice calm. "I've come to help you, Cale," she said gently. Cale didn't move. His glasses still covered his eyes, but he could see her clearly. Not her body, but her thoughts. Her fear, her purpose. "You don't want to hurt me?" he said without emotion. "No," she answered. "We've been looking for you for a long time," Rayla told him about the prophecy. About a child born from starlight and shadow. A being with the power to either burn the galaxy or save it. Cale didn't answer. He was tired of stories. Tired of people calling him chosen or cursed. But Rayla reached into her coat and showed him something he didn't expect. A photo, Saren VA, holding baby Cale. Smiling, safe, human. Cale's breath caught in his throat. He hadn't seen that face in years. "He was one of us," Rayla said softly. "He died trying to protect you." Cale closed his eyes. The tunnel began to shake. The air crackled with invisible sparks. Rayla backed away slowly. Not in fear, but with respect. "You're remembering now, aren't you?" she whispered. Cale nodded once. Flashes lit up behind his eyes. He saw a laboratory with glowing tanks. His tiny body floating in liquid, watched by Council scientists. Fed energy, not from the sun, but from a dying neutron star. He was never born. He was made, half human. Half energy, a weapon designed in secret, then abandoned when the Council realized. It couldn't control him, Cale screamed. The sound echoed without sound. Lights exploded around them, and the tunnel walls cracked like eggshells. But Rayla stood her ground. She stepped forward and placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are not their mistake," she said. "You are our chance." Cale opened his eyes. The glasses had fallen. Rayla stared into his glowing blue eyes and didn't flinch. She only whispered, "It's time to choose who you want to be." For the first time in years, Cale didn't feel afraid. That night, he joined the rebel crew. They gave him a room, food, and silence when he needed it. They didn't treat him like a god or a monster, just a boy who had carried too much for too long. He trained with them. Not to use his eyes but to control his emotions, he learned to speak to machines with his thoughts, to calm storms, to rebuild broken engines with pure will. And the more he remembered, the more he understood. The Council didn't fear what he might become, they feared what he already was. Cale wasn't a child made of light. He was memory. He was the weapon they buried on the key they lost, but the Council now knew he lived. Across the galaxy, ships began to move. Cloaked agents activated, and bounty hunters received quiet payments to track him down. They all wanted to be the one to kill the boy with burning eyes. But Cale no longer ran. He was ready, and the stars had started whispering his name again. Asterisk the child who changed the stars. Asterisk the Council's fleet stretched across the sky like a wall of steel and silence. Dozens of warships, lined with cannons, engines humming like thunder, ready to strike. In the command chamber of the flagship, Chancellor Merrick stood tall, hands behind his back. Staring at the blinking screen, "Confirmed target location." He said coldly, "Confirmed," the officer replied. "The boy is aboard the rebel cruiser Ashen Wind, entering neutral space near the Nabari line." "Then erase them," Myrick said, voice sharp as a blade, far below. In a quiet chamber of the rebel ship, Cale stood facing a mirror. His glasses sat folded on the table, untouched. His eyes glowed like stars trapped in water, calm and endless. Rayla stood beside him. "They're coming for you," she said. "All of them, I know," Cale whispered. "But this time, I'm not running." Rayla placed a small device in his hand. "If anything happens, press this. We'll scatter the ship's energy signature and give us time to escape." Cale looked at the device, then looked up. "I'm not pressing anything," he said. "They need to see me. Not as a weapon, but as truth." The crew prepared for battle. Shields charged, weapons armed, but Cale walked alone to the airlock. His feet light, his steps steady. He opened the outer hatch and stepped into space. No suit, no helmet, just Cale, floating. Between the stars, the Council ships froze in motion. Targeting systems jammed. Engines stalled. Pilots screamed as energy readings spiked beyond safety limits. Cale opened his eyes fully. The stars around him pulsed. The light of 1,000,000 years bent toward him, singing, waiting, inside the Council flagship. Screens shattered, lights exploded. Officers fell to their knees, grabbing their heads as waves of memory poured into their minds. They saw what Cale saw: the lab, the truth. The creation of a child built to silence rebellions with fear, designed to erase cities with a glance, made in secret, then cast away when the Council couldn't bear its own reflection. They saw his pain, his childhood in hiding, his lonely nights, his silent walks under skies too big for one heart. Cale's voice echoed without sound, reaching every ship, every soul. "I was not born to destroy you," he said, "but to remind you, you forgot what fear does. You forgot what silence creates. You forgot the children you buried." He raised his hand slowly. The warships drifted backward, powerless, their engines turned off by something they couldn't touch. Their weapons melted in place, like wax under sunlight. But Cale didn't burn them. He just blinked, and the stars fell quiet again. One by one, the ships turned away. Not ordered, but humbled. The Council flagship powered down. Chancellor Myrox stood alone in the dark. Sweating, shaking, "He could have ended us," he whispered, "but he didn't," on the Ashen Wind. Cale returned through the hatch, silent, tired, glowing like a quiet sun. Rayla and the crew bowed not in worship, but in deep, grateful. "Respect, you've done it," she said softly. "You've ended the war before it began." "No," Kale replied. "I've ended a lie, days later." The truth was broadcast across the galaxy. Hidden files leaked, experiments exposed. The galaxy saw what the Council had done, what the child they feared had chosen instead. Kale disappeared shortly after. Some say he walks among distant planets, helping silently. Others believe he became one with the stars, watching, waiting, guiding, but the message remained. Power isn't the ability to destroy, it's the choice not to. And every child born after that day looked up at the night sky with wonder, knowing that once there was a boy with eyes that could burn worlds, but instead he changed them.